Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. So, in today's session, we will be discussing about what a GD is and how we are supposed to go through a GD. So, before I begin the topic, I want to ask you all what is your idea about a GD, which is the short form for group discussion? Can anyone tell me what is a GD? What is a GD? I think there are multiple times when we all have taken part in a GD. Maybe at the
Sir,
informal level, but can you tell me what is a
people,
GD?
sir, a group of people
Yes, Rahul?
a group of people who share similar interest, discuss ideas and stuffs to solve certain situation and problem.
Okay, that is a group discussion, but that's one in an informal setting when people form a group, people having similar interests, and they talk about a particular topic. Now, do you know that in the course of getting a job, that is after you're shortlisted, after your CV or your resume or your job application is shortlisted, there are three stages that people have to clear in order to get a job at a standard multinational concern or a standard organization. The first step is known as the first stage. There are three rounds rather. These three rounds may be termed as elimination round. Now, what is the meaning of the term elimination rounds? Elimination rounds basically mean they are rounds where people are scrutinized and the list of candidates is considerably shortened. The first round that you have is known as technical round. Suppose there are 20 candidates who have been shortlisted for a particular post. In the technical round, 5 out of those 20 candidates will be eliminated and the other 15 will be allowed into the GD round. Then after the GD round, about 10 people are eliminated and only 5 people make it to the final round, which is the personal interview round. Now, in case of a GD, it is something that we might regard as an elimination round. And this is a very difficult round because in this round, a candidate is scrutinized across multiple facets or multiple things are scrutinized in a candidate. Now, what happens generally in a GD round is that a topic is given to candidates and then the interviewers, they sit quietly. There's no form of prompting from their end. They are not going to tell anyone that, okay, now Sharonda will speak, now Sharmishta will speak. Nobody will say it like this. There'll be no prompting from their end. You yourselves, as the candidates, have to take your turn and you have to speak accordingly. And then again, when you are speaking, you have to see that the points that you are putting forward should have proper rational backing. And when you're talking, you should have the proper body language. As I told you, that you will be monitored across multiple facets of personality. And one step out of place, you will be eliminated. Your chances of going into the personal interview round are as good as gone. So it's imperative to have an idea about how to face a professional GD and basically how to emerge successfully. Just like you have a professional GD, in order to bag a job, you're going to face professional GDs multiple times throughout your career. For example, if you work in an organization, then there will be times when you will be having a meeting with a group of people and you will need to use your persuasive skills in order to convince the others around you to see things from your point of view. So basically, the key skill which you require to go through a GD is known as persuasive skill or the power of persuasion. What is persuasion? Persuasion basically means how well you can convince someone. You need to have very good
Let's
convincing
only one
skills
squad
in
like
order to emerge
bananas.
successful
400
in the
meters.
course of a GD.
Practice.
Okay, okay.
Is it clear to everyone what I've been saying so far?
Yes, sir.
No,
Okay, with
I'm using
that in
Android.
mind, I'll start sharing my screen with you. Please give me a few seconds.
Yeah, it's them, it's them. Let's go, let's go.
They're running into correct.
Oh,
I
okay.
only see one guy though.
Okay, okay, we can fight this.
There's a full team. Wait, his teammate or?
Alright, is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I see one
Okay,
here.
can you all see the PPT?
This building.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let's get
Oxen.
started.
On this way.
Excuse me. So, as you can see, this particular PPT, it has got a very interesting title. Take charge of the field. Now, why did I specifically use this title? Before I go into it, I want to ask all of you, how many of you have played football when you were at school?
This I think this is a
Anyone?
full team, okay? I'm gonna play with
Okay, let me
this.
see the number of raised hands. A second. Okay. Good, good.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna up, I'm gonna up. Behind,
So,
Correct.
when you used to play football at school, I think you all had a coach.
I'm healing.
And very often,
Press well, press well.
take charge of the field was one of the prep words which the coach would tell his players. Now, basically, this word, take charge of the field, is used in case of sports like football and basketball.
They're resting.
Yeah, go,
What
go,
happens
go, go,
is that when people play these games, the
I'm
coaches
sorry,
often
I'm sorry.
tell them that take charge of the field. That basically means that now it's in your
Careful,
hands.
careful.
You have to take the ball from the feet of the opponents and you have to score a goal. There'll be nobody who will be there to help you. So the situation in a GD is almost similar to the situation in the football field or in the basketball court.
I'm
You have to
sorry.
take the ball. Nobody's going to pass it to you. You have to snatch it from the feet of the other competitors and you have to move ahead and score your goal. Nobody is going to give you a chance to talk. You yourself have to snatch the chance and talk to the others. Now, basically, as I told you a little while ago, that a group discussion is an elimination round. It's an elimination test. And in this test, the vocal and verbal skills of a candidate, as well as the
Oh, there is a one.
non-verbal skills, are put to test. The interviewers, once they give the topic,
Go back,
they
go back,
look
go back.
around and they start monitoring the candidates. How is a candidate speaking?
Qualify?
What does his or her body language convey about
Go
him
this
or
way.
her? Then
Where do you
again,
wanna go, people?
I don't know.
what amount of leadership
Okay, go this way.
skills does this particular candidate have? Even that can be judged via the pattern of interaction which a candidate exhibits in the course of a group discussion. So in order to clear the GD round successfully, you have to have good verbal ability, good spoken skills,
To the floor.
good non-verbal skills. Your body language should show confidence, and last but not the
There's a one
least,
team.
you should have some
They're
aggression
trying
in
to
you
brief us.
in a controlled way. Now, what is meant by the term aggression? Can anyone tell me what is aggression?
Someone fly, fly, someone fly.
What is aggression? Can anyone tell
Almost
me?
correct. What this guy is doing? Oh,
30 on one guy.
nice.
Loot. I'm looting inside, okay?
Wait, they're running away. How?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is the meaning of the term aggression?
Just hold. There is
Aggression
there
mane
is
ki.
some
It's a very
money
easy term. I
display.
think most of you have heard it many a times. What is this aggression?
Chase right in the bandit land.
You have ult again, Aviva?
Anger, is it?
No, I gave you the Alex.
Okay. Anything else?
So the
They're
feeling
moving
of
on.
anger, sir, not
Nice.
actually anger, but the
There's
feeling
so
of
much.
anger when
They're
you
moving.
get a
They
bit
will
frustrated
fight
and try to
in the
attack other
secret
people.
building.
It's a heavy mag and then it's a.
Okay, then why, if that is something related to frustration, then why am I saying that
Come on, play again.
you require frustration in order
Yes,
to
another
get through a
team again.
GT?
What are they doing?
No, not actually
Let's go like
frustration. I
this,
used the wrong word,
Andras.
but it's actually it's angry. The feeling of anger.
Anger. Okay.
We can fight on the left team.
Sir, we use the word aggressive
Okay,
person.
ulting me.
Is it the
Yes.
another word for so we use the word aggressive person. Isn't it the another word for an angry person?
Where?
Yes, that is another word for an angry person, but I think that the
Okay,
term
last one.
aggression
Where?
is misused more often.
Okay, can we
Just think about it. What you're talking about is furious,
last
angry,
one.
frustrated, and a plethora of negative emotions.
Aggression is like
No,
hostile
this is
behavior.
It's a different guy.
Style behavior.
Finish,
Okay.
finish. He's not okay.
Play
Yeah,
together,
it
play
may involve a bit of hostile behavior. But just think about it. Isn't it also a
together.
driving force?
Like
Yes,
somewhere.
I'm telling you, this is
A driving force which makes us move towards our
Where is the
goals.
Valkyrie?
Aggression.
Fuse is still alive.
The ability to take on a competition and to come out on top of it.
To my 2x.
If you do not have aggression on the football field, can you score the goal? If you're all laid back, relaxed, there's no adrenaline rush, can you take the ball from the feet of the opponent and score a goal? What do you think?
uh,
No, sir.
Hello, let me claim
You
you.
see,
cannot.
Ourselves.
aggression, it is a driving force. It is a driving force that motivates or drives an individual. You need aggression. You need aggression in order to be successful.
I think the guy went
Without aggression, you cannot come out victorious in a competitive environment.
Yeah, it's them.
It is almost like
Come.
an adrenaline rush,
Like this way.
a desperate wish
So like,
to be the best. When you're feeling aggressive in the course of a GD, you're feeling like I'll be the best. I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to score the goal. I'm going to convince everyone to look at things from my point of view. You see, too much of anything is bad. Even too much of happiness is bad. So similarly, too much of aggression is also very bad. But certain amount of aggression is necessary in order to convince people. Without aggression,
where they go?
without a controlled sense of aggression, you cannot end up convincing people.
We should fly over.
Now leaders, those of us, those people whom we regard as leaders, they are people who have a controlled sense of aggression. In order to be a leader, you have to have very good convincing skills. You have to have those skills which will convince people to agree with your point of view.
Alpha 3.
So basically, that is also something
Bro, so laggy, holy moly.
that the interviewers look for in a
We're
candidate.
gonna go to
Controlled sense of aggression. To
I think
what
we
extent
can
a candidate is aggressive or rather is
do this
self-motivated,
and looking at what
self-driven,
we can go.
and how well he or she can control the aggression. Now, very often in the football field, you have outbursts of aggression which result in fouls. When people kick each other down, people hit each other. That is aggression.
you are same as me. One,
That is overt aggression. But if you can keep a control on your aggression, then it's going to be the driving force that's going to steer you towards becoming victorious. So aggression is a trait that is necessary.
Come.
So the communicative skills, both verbal and non-verbal, as well as the controlled sense of aggression in the candidate, all these things will be scrutinized by the interviewers. And based on that, they'll be shortlisted for the final round,
Oh, bro, I can't. I have to do it here.
Okay.
which is the personal interview round.
Can you ping? Where to go?
So all these
Yes, go
things
strike,
will
go
be
strike,
scrutinized
go
very,
strike.
very
I don't know
in
why, but go
detail,
strike.
and that is necessary. So it's important that you keep all three in check: verbal skills, non-verbal skills, and your aggression, in order to successfully clear the GD round. Now, before I explain this slide, I want to ask you all, from which movie is this picture taken?
There's a team like fighting.
Oh, we can
Sir, yeah. So 3 Idiots. 3 Idiots.
Three Idiots, okay. What was the name of the main character in Three Idiots?
We can go behind this way.
So we have.
Sure.
Lancho.
It's gonna be a good fight, though. Like so many
Rancho or Fungsuk Wangru?
There is another team.
Which
Go
one?
back, go back, go back, go back.
Fungsuk
Yes.
Wangru.
Okay, okay.
Reveal later.
Rancho or Wangru, whoever he was, you remember that in the course of the movie, very often he says, all is well. Now, what does this term mean? All is well.
I'm gonna charge my LT.
We can fuck them from behind.
What
Be
does this
optimistic
term
and
mean?
everything will be alright.
So everything is
Yeah.
better and all right also.
Everything is okay.
On a gate.
Even if the situation is adverse, everything is all right.
Look.
Now, what kind of mindset does this particular character show, Rancho or Wangru?
We
What
can
kind of
Positive.
mindset did we have?
Positive.
So he
Positive
was
Stay healthy, okay?
and what else?
Watching this.
They have a rampage.
Positive, definitely. What else?
Everyone is
Yeah, I said optimistic. He was an optimistic person.
Okay, optimistic, positive. What else? I'm looking for one particular word.
Out there, they have to go.
Think.
Confident.
Confident, right? He was confident. Now, very often we use the word confidence. We say a person needs to be confident. Confidence is a good quality, and very often, as we all know, that people like people who are confident. Those who are confident have a greater chance of bagging a job or so on. But do you know,
Where?
the term confidence in itself is vague. It has no
He
meaning.
just came from like behind.
It is a sum total of two other things, that is clarity and content.
just like walking.
When you have the two other things, clarity and content, only then you have confidence.
Not in strong, man. What they do.
Confidence is the sum total of these two traits, that's clarity
Like,
and
they're not
content.
pushing, they're like going around, I think. They will just go here.
So,
I'm watching. I have
in order to be aggressive in a controlled
Guys,
manner,
can you
by
tell me
aggressive,
they're
please,
fighting hard.
I'm repeating once again, I do not mean that you should go and break someone's head.
Ramp on my ping.
In order to be aggressive, in order to feel that amount of motivation,
no one's behind.
to feel that, okay, I am the best, I am the one who is going to bag this job today.
भूख लग रही है। मतलब केक खाना है मेरे को।
To have that amount of aggression, you need some confidence. And in order to have confidence, you need clarity and content.
There is someone.
Now, what is clarity and content? That I'll be explaining in this particular slide.
Hide, yeah, like someone. Like,
Now, first, let me come to the term or the concept of clarity.
yeah, they will come in the tunnel. Like,
Clarity basically means the ability
get like so
They
many-
to
cannot,
see
like, hold
things
the Joseph and,
clearly,
get beef.
to see basic units very, very
so
clearly.
we can just-
Yeah, flash mob.
A clarity is almost like a brick,
Yep.
a brick that is required to make a house. Now, very often, we might have certain ideas. But then again, suppose I have an idea that, okay,
I'm just
in the next month, I'm going to earn 2 lakhs. Now, this particular idea in itself, is it meaningful? If I have an idea only that I am going to earn 2 lakhs in the next month,
Because
will it be
no
useful?
one get cover from the outside.
Yeah.
They will,
So that's why I'm
Is
saying
this
that,
idea useful in itself?
yeah, someone
Without any supporting ideas regarding how am I going to earn those 2 lakhs? I might think, okay, I'm going to earn this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But without a clear framework about how am I going to do it, is it even meaningful having an idea? Yes,
So
or-
without idea, it is meaningless also.
without idea it's meaningless, okay, but when you have just one single idea that I'm going to open a business, okay, and you have no idea about what you're going to open the business on, what will be your product, what's your business plan, from where you're going to gather the capital, can your idea ever take fruition without supporting ideas?
So far away behind.
Bro, my grenade.
No,
All
sir.
of them.
No, sir.
Definitely not.
my net just
So, one particular idea
Tune in the bubble.
needs
One
to
day
be
or something.
supported by multiple other ideas in order to bear fruition. So the ability to think clearly and in a stepwise manner, to organize ideas in a stepwise manner, that is known as having clarity. It's almost like building a house. Suppose you want to build a house and I bring you all a stack of bricks, enough to make a house, and I put the whole stack of bricks before you. Can you say that you have a house? I just bring you a stack of bricks and I dump them in front of you. Can you say that you have a house?
No, sir. That would be just a pile of bricks.
That will be just a pile of bricks, yes. Now, how will that pile of bricks become a house?
I like mine.
So we would have to organize it in the proper way to just build it in a house.
Exactly. You will have to arrange the bricks in a proper manner, one after another, and only then will you be able to build a house. So clarity is almost like that. The ability to think clearly, to arrange ideas in a proper sequence, serial manner, so that they turn out to be something meaningful. That is clarity. Now, when you're able to arrange your ideas in a proper manner, or rather, if I return to the house example, if you are able to arrange the bricks in a proper structure, in a proper way, then you have content. You have something concrete, something deliverable in your hands. So when you have arranged these bricks in a proper order, you have a house. Similarly, when you arrange ideas in a proper logical order, one after another, you have content which might be knowledge. And based on this knowledge, you can have confidence.
One's on the left.
If you can think clearly, if you have knowledge about a particular issue, if you can gain knowledge about a particular thing, then only can you feel confident. Then only can you be ready to take on everyone. So as I said, confidence is a sum total of clarity and content. Clarity plus content is equal to confidence.
That guy's on controller.
So you only are going to be confident when you have a proper content or knowledge about a particular
Spinning in
topic.
a circle. Yeah.
By arranging ideas in a proper order. So that is the relationship between the three C's: clarity, content, and confidence. Now this particular concept, this is the backbone for a GD. All the other things are secondary that I'll be showing you, but this is the very, very primary concept that you need to keep in mind when you talk about having a group discussion.
About 130 right here. It's here 130.
Is this part clear to everyone? If anyone has got any doubts or queries regarding this part, please ask me.
So confidence is the sum of total clarity and content also.
Yes, clarity and content. The ability to think and organize ideas in a clear manner, along with an organization of those ideas. The product of clarity. And when you have both these things, then only can you feel confident. If you have knowledge about a particular thing, you will feel confident about that knowledge only when you know that if anyone asks you a question, you can defend yourself, you can explain a particular topic properly, clearly. You can see all the parts of that content, all the parts that have been assembled to make the content clearly, and you have knowledge about each and every part, and you can answer or rather face any challenge that you may be subject to. Only then do you feel confident. Am I clear on this point?
Yes, sir.
Rewinding the words for your important ones is pretty good.
Okay. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the types of group discussions that are there. The first one is communication skill based GD. So in this kind of GD, basically, a very, very common topic is given that everyone knows about. And as the candidates are speaking, the interviewers monitor their verbal, non-verbal levels, as well as their confidence levels. The second one, I think it's slightly more difficult. This is a negotiation skill-based GD. So what is negotiation skill? In this particular kind of GD, a particular topic is given and candidates, they have to speak for or against that particular topic. and they have to speak in
Yes,
such a
on
way so
FPS
that
value
they can
fraction, and
convince
then
the
you
other people
look
there in the meeting to attend to their
to do
points
the
of view.
fraction, and you just type in 120.
Okay. So basically, this particular type of GD requires what we may call a lot of persuasive power.
Situational.
And persuasive power, the ability to convince properly, comes with only when you have acquired a certain level of confidence in the thing that you're trying to
They're both really
explain.
good. I think
So,
they're
in
both
order to acquire that
know.
confidence, you also need clarity and content. Clarity regarding the parts of that particular topic, or content which is that
What
particular
about
topic.
playoffs?
You need that.
Oh man, like I want to say good, but playoffs is like fucked, man. I don't know. So did you guys see the relegation qualifier?
So basically, in a
finals? It's like
negotiation
the
skill-based
qualifiers
GD,
work like pro league.
the first and foremost thing that is monitored is how well a candidate can convince others, how well he or she can talk and bring others to agree upon or at least look at things from her point of view. And the third type of GD is known as topic-based GD. Now, what is this topic-based GD? In this kind of GD, a difficult topic is put before the candidates, a topic that's not so common. And now the candidates have to take their turn and speak for or against that particular topic. Now, here, this I think is the most difficult kind of GD because a particular unfavorable scenario may arise. There are chances that as a candidate, we may not know anything about the topic that is given to us. We might have zero knowledge about one particular topic. It very often happens that we are all well versed in some topic, and in some topics we have absolutely no knowledge. So what will happen if we have got zero knowledge on a particular topic? Can we really speak up in the course of the GD, or should we throw up our hands and surrender in this kind of scenario, telling the interviewers that I'm sorry, I know nothing about this topic, so I surrender before you? So what are you going to do? What's going to be your strategy?
No one with us.
What is the strategy that we can take in this scenario? Can anyone tell me? Suppose you know nothing, you have absolute zero knowledge about a particular topic on which you're asked to speak. What are you going to do in such a scenario?
I got cars.
Anyone tell me? Hello? Think about it.
Nice.
So let someone else start who already have the knowledge about that topic, and then join them.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I'll be telling you a good strategy about how to do this as we proceed. Now let's take out the situations which may crop up in the course of a GD. These are the common situations which crop up in the course of a group discussion. Now suppose in the course of a GD, you get a topic about which you know a lot and you're well acquainted. So chances are that you're going to feel very, very happy.
I never get the details.
But then again, just like too much of tension is not good, too much of happiness is also not good. Why? Because if a person feels like this, okay, I have got this, I've got everything in order, that person, due to his or her feelings of excitement,
Nah. I don't know.
If you DDoS, then you will.
in the moment of excitement, what may happen is that the candidate who is speaking may forget to put the points in a proper logical sequence. Then again, if a person is very, very excited or very, very happy, what may happen is that in the course of happiness, he or she might even skip out on a few points, might skip out on points that he or she knew. So even if the topic is very, very familiar to you, my advice from my advice would be that you should keep a level head. Try to think about the points on which you will speak and arrange them in a proper logical manner, so that when you say them, the sequence in which you're going to say the sentence will be proper. Now, very often there might be multiple points about a particular topic. You might want to highlight multiple points, but please bear in mind that whenever you are arranging these points, they should be arranged in a proper order, in a proper logical sequence. Otherwise, it'll just be like a person wearing his trousers on his head and wearing his shirt on his knees. Okay, is it clear to everyone?
Yes,
First
sir.
scenario? Okay. Now let's check out the second scenario. Let's take a scenario where the candidates are not well acquainted with the topic. They do not know about the topic. Now, the first and foremost thing that I would say is, just like in the previous scenario, I told you not to get too happy, but in this scenario too, you should not get too nervous or too worked up, because that will make you prone to more errors. So what you should do is, basically, when you don't know anything about the topic, as I told you that there's no prompting on behalf of the interviewer, do not be the first person to pick up the topic. Rather listen to what a few other candidates are saying. And now, from what they're saying, try to make a conceptual framework
There's a balloon on the left.
of the particular topic on which you are going to speak.
So
Now, when you're making the conceptual framework, you should have clarity. When the other candidates are speaking, listen very, very carefully to their points, to what they are saying, and then try to understand the concepts. Once you have got the concept, you can just refer to their points, you can hear what they said, and then you can try to rearrange their statements in a different kind of language. That is one more strategy that you can take. Then again, there are two other scenarios that crop up in the course of a GD, especially one in which candidates are not acquainted with it. Candidates often feel that they might be very smart, they can outwit those who are there in the interview panel. So what very often happens is that in order to build a good impression,
الله يعطيك العافية. أنت الآن ما شاء الله لك أكثر من 60 سنة ما شاء الله في الحرم.
That in order to build a good impression, candidates often cook up facts. They make up facts from their own mind. They make up data
اللهم بارك. كل من يشوف المقطع
from their own mind and they put
اللهم
that
بارك
data.
ويدعي للوالد
But
بالبركة
please don't
ويمد
do
الله في
that,
عمره.
because if there is someone in the interview panel who really knows a lot about the topic, then that person might very well take you to task for being dishonest. If you know 2 points, right, just say those 2 points. You don't need to make 5 points out of something you don't know. And then again, you should not be cooking up data. You should not be making up facts and figures from your mind to validate your argument. Then there's another scenario that often crops up, that if the candidates are not well acquainted with the topic, suppose regarding a topic, they know only 2 points, but they would have liked to say 5. So what they do is that after stating those 2 points, they use words like etc. or approximately to mask their ignorance. So do not use words like that to hide the fact that you do not know anything about the topic. You see, if you know 2 points about the topic, say those 2 points and remain silent. Do not give those 2 points and add an extra etc. because those who conduct interviews, they have many years of experience and they can really spot the difference between a sincere and an insincere etc. So don't do that. Okay? Am I clear to everyone on this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this is another. What if the topic is controversial? Controversial basically means, suppose a topic is given and candidates have to say something in favor or against a particular topic. Now, we are all human beings. We all have strong feelings about something or the other. Now, suppose someone is saying something and your feelings are getting hot. You're getting angered, you're getting pestered off, you're losing your temper. Do not do so. The topic might be very close to your heart, but whenever you are appearing for an interview, if someone says something about a particular topic regarding which you feel strongly, do not get excited. If you need to counter another candidate, you need to give your arguments in a proper point-wise manner in order to counter another candidate. Now, very often what happens is that in the course of a GD, candidates play mind games with each other. Now, this is not ethical, but then again, this is something which I would also advise you to do if you are appearing for a GD. What you should do is you should read the minds of the other candidates around you. Is someone trying to join the session? Hello? I think one of your classmates is texting me. It's too late. Okay, so as I was saying, that if you have to counter one of the candidates who is saying something which makes you irritable or which is getting you excited, then what you should do is you should counter that in points. You should not lose your patience. Candidates often play a mind game. They try to look around, they try to figure out who is excitable, who is not. They try to read the other candidates. Even you can try to do that. If you find someone who is excitable, who has got an excitable disposition, you may try to talk in such a way so that you can excite that other person into making an outburst. This is not strictly ethical, but then again, there's an old English saying that all is fair in love and war. And getting a job nowadays in this recent job scenario is almost like winning a war, fighting a war. So that's not unfair. Similarly, you should try to prevent yourself from falling prey to such a mind game, a possible mind game by other candidates. Someone might keep on saying something, a topic about you which you feel strongly in order to excite you, but maintain your calmness. Think that it does not matter. This is just a game. This is something that I have to play in order to bag a job. Whether I'm able to establish my opinion or not, whether I feel strongly about this topic or not, that's not important. You have to be calm, you have to maintain your composure, and if you have to counter someone, you have to counter that person in a point-wise manner. Is it clear to everyone how you're going to handle this kind of scenario? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we come to the pillars of a GD. Now, as you know that in any architecture, pillars are necessary to support the structure. So similarly, in case of a GD2, there are two pillars. Now, what do I mean by pillars? They are the main things which are going to hold you up in the course of a group discussion. And these two pillars are communication and eye contact. As I told you, communication is very, very important. In the course of the GD, your verbal as well as non-verbal skills will be tested. Now, what do I mean by verbal skills? Verbal skills means basically the way how you speak. I am not talking about intonation. Please bear this in mind. Back in the day when I completed my master's degree, a lot of stress was put on intonation, how well you could talk in the British accent or in the American accent, but now it's not necessary. Basically, you should be able to speak clearly, You should use words that everyone should be able to understand, not Sashi Tharoor English. Instead, English that everyone understands, even a class 3 student should be able to understand it, because the purpose of communication is, please excuse me for a second, I have an official call coming in. Sorry for the interruption. So as I was saying, that by communication skills, it means English that everyone is able to understand. As you know, communication is a two-way process. Now, you might be speaking in very eloquent language. You might have a very good vocabulary stock. But if whatever you are saying is Greek to the people sitting on the other end, then the very purpose of communication fails. So you have to use very plain and simple English, layman's words, and you have to speak in such a way so that the concepts that you are delivering, they're clear to the people on the other end. Then again, your non-verbal communication skills too will be put to test. Now, what do I mean by non-verbal communication skills? Non-verbal communication skills are what we may call what our body language says about us. Proper body language. Proper body language is very, very necessary. Very often, without realizing it, we all use improper body language. But then again, that body language shows a lot about us. Very often, the body language that we use turns to be improper, and that body language will give volumes about us. I'll just demonstrate one example of an improper body language. I'll just switch on my webcam for a second. Okay, am I visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think very often you must have seen that people in the course of talking, they have a habit of clenching their hands together like this, isn't it? I think this is a habit which many of you might have seen.
Yes, sir.
Putting your hands together in
Yes,
this
sir.
manner. Now, this particular gesture, it might appear apparently harmless, but then again, this conveys volume about the state of mind of the person who is speaking. Very often you will see that this hand gesture comes when you are not sure, when you are not confident about the topic on which you are speaking. This one shows defensiveness. You're balling yourself up. You're trying to keep certain facets of your personality hidden from those in front of you. This one shows a lack of confidence. So if you clench your hands together like that in the course of a GD, the interviewers will mark it as someone who is not open and someone who suffers from a lack of confidence. Please keep in mind that whenever you are talking, you should, in the course of a GD, your hand should be flat like this in the table in front of you. And when you're talking, even if you're moving your hands, the palm of your hand should be facing the audience. When the palm of your hand faces the audience, this body language shows that you are confident, that you're open to the audience. You want to share whatever knowledge you have with the audience. So this is one of the gestures or one particular facet of body language that you need to keep in mind when you're appearing for a GD. As I told you, this is one of the fronts across which you're going to be monitored. Then again, certain people have habits of playing with their hair, scratching their heads, sitting with their hands on their chin like this. Please do not do that. All that will be counted as improper body language and might lead to you getting eliminated. And whenever you are talking, you should talk with a kind of smile, in a cheerful note, not in a very, very grave or somber tone. That all that is going to show as self-confidence. All that will display how confident you are. Is my point clear to everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm resuming with the PPT once again. Now, can you all see it, the PPT?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The other pillar of a GD is eye contact. Now, eye contact is one of the most important things in the course of communication, in the course of talking. Whenever you're talking in the course of a GD, you should try to move your head and make eye contact in turn with everyone present in the room, not just the interviewers, but all the other candidates too. You see, eye contact, if you make eye contact with someone, it gives a positive message about you. If you can speak to someone looking them in the eye, it shows that you are confident. And if you lower your eyes, it shows that you are lacking in confidence or you're timid. Making eye contact with others shows braveness or boldness and having confidence. It also displays confidence. So these two are very, very important. The way your verbal, non-verbal communication skills, as well as your ability to make eye contact. These two things are the pillars of the GD. They are the things which are going to support and uphold your GD, uphold your entire personality in the course of a GD. And they are going to determine how your personality is going to be deciphered by the interviewers in the course of a GD. Now, these are some common tips. I think you're familiar with most of these tips. Whenever you appear for a GD or a job interview, you should come dressed in a proper attire. You should not come casually dressed in jeans and top or jeans and t-shirt. You should come properly dressed for the occasion. The second point is what I discussed with you a little while ago, that you should try to strike eye contact with everyone in the course of a GD. You should make eye contact with all the team. The third one, you should use proper body language. You should not put your hand on your chin. You should not bite your nails, pick at your nose, or do things like that, or shuffle around, scratch your head. You should use proper body language whenever you're appearing for a GD. Now, whenever you begin speaking in the course of a GD, you should wish everyone and introduce yourself. Like before you begin speaking, you should say something like, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I am so and so. You should say your name and then you should begin speaking. Next, whenever you speak, you should speak in simple English and you should try to make your words as explanatory as possible. In this context, I would like to say that whenever inductive approach as opposed to a deductive one. Now, does anyone know what is the meaning of the term inductive approach? What is inductive approach? Can anyone tell me? What is inductive approach? Does anyone know? Yes or no? Hello?
So the word inductive means to bring in something.
To bring in something. Good. So inductive approach basically means bringing something in, bringing in an example. You see, examples often serve to clarify concepts. Now, when you are talking in the course of a GD, if you're explaining some concept, if you use the inductive concept, inductive way, you're going to cite the example and you're going to come to the theory, or rather derive the theory from that example. Let me demonstrate. I'll just demonstrate one example. I'll just demonstrate something in the inductive way. Let's consider the sentence, birds fly. Now this word fly, what part of grammar is it? Is it a noun, verb, pronoun, or adverb, adjective? Which one?
Verb.
Verb, okay. Which one is the subject in this sentence? Birds fly. What is the subject?
Birds.
So birds.
And the object? The object? What is the object?
No object.
No object, okay. So this is an example of an intransitive verb. A verb where there is no object. Generally, in case of a verb, an action passes from a subject to an object. But in case of this example that is cited, there is no object. So this is an intransitive verb. Now the approach that I took, firstly giving you an example and then deriving the theory from that, explaining from that, that is the inductive approach. You can consider using this approach if you are giving a theory. And last but not the least, time management is very, very important. Whenever you are talking, you should try to speak in an attractive manner and you should keep your speech brief. You should keep it as short as possible. You should not turn it into an elaborate bhasan of sorts. Okay. Do not turn it into a big bhasan which is very, very boring. Keep it as short as possible. Because nobody likes long and boring lectures. Try to keep it interesting and brief. That's the takeaway. Now, please keep in mind that a GD, it never comes to a formal pre-declared end. There's no end to a GD. Very often what happens is that people, because why a GD never comes to an end, the reason for this is that with all the arguments and counter arguments, they can keep on going on forever and ever. So very often after a particular period of time, one of the interviewers may pick out any one candidate and ask him or her to summarize the entire discussion. So in the course of a GD, it is always a good idea to have a notepad and a pen at hand and to keep a note of what you as well as all the other candidates have been saying. So if anyone is asked to summarize the GD or summarize the discussion, you can just refer to your notes and summarize it. It's almost like taking down the minutes of a meeting. Okay. Keep a track of whatever has been discussed, and when you're asked to summarize it, you can just refer to your notes and say it in your own words. I'm not saying that you should read out the minutes of the meeting from the notepad. You have to take a look at the points and you have to round them up in your own way. Summarizing basically means rounding the thing up. Do not read it out. At the risk of sounding repetitive, once again, I'm saying that you should not barely read out the points that you have taken down in your notepad. Whatever you have written, round it up and say it in your own way. And then again, when you are summarizing the proceedings of a group discussion, you can actually try to end it with a quote. If you know some quote which is related to the topic on which the GD has been conducted, then you can try to summarize it up with a quote. For example, if the topic of the GD was the concept of karma, then if you know some quote from the Bhagavad Gita regarding karma, you could try to end up your summarization or conclude your summarization part with that particular quote. That will create a positive impression about you in the minds of the interviewers, because they're going to take it that you are someone who thinks outside the box and who has some sort of knowledge outside the box. So you can try to round up the summarization portion with a quote if you know one. So that's it. And now if anyone has got any doubts or queries or any questions regarding what has been discussed so far, please ask me. Anyone having any questions for me?
So can we use hand gestures to emphasize on a point?
What kind of hand gestures are you talking about?
Sir, like raising our hand to means emphasize on a point, particular point.
Yes, you can use hand gestures, but as I told you, whenever you're using your hand gestures, try to make sure that the palm of your hand faces the audience for most of the time. Okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Anyone else having any other questions for me? Anyone having any other questions? All right. So I'll be sharing this PPT with you on the WhatsApp group. And in our next session, we are going to discuss about how we can defend our arguments, or how we can provide a good and sound rationale behind what we are saying in the course of a GD. And then we are going to have a real-time GD practice session. Okay? So there won't be any assignment today. I'll send you the PPT. Please go through it. And if you have any doubts or queries, please post your questions on the WhatsApp group. I'll definitely get back to you. On that note, I'm concluding today's session. Thank you, dear students.
Thank
It
you,
was
sir.
very nice interacting with all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Seers, please send me the attendance for today. On that note,